Hey, what's going on? So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about these two dump trailers behind me. I got a 7x14 PJ dump trailer and a 7x14 Sure-Trac dump trailer. So this one, the PJ, is my dump trailer, and the Sure-Trac is a friend of mine's. I'm borrowing this for the weekend for a job. I'm in the market for a new dump trailer, so I'm trying to decide if I'm going to get another PJ or a Sure-Trac. Now, my buddy keeps telling me that I need to get a Sure-Trac because they're the best. So I'm going to go around both trailers, lift them up, put them down, and kind of like basically just see the differences between them and which one I like better. And I hope that as the video goes on, you let me know in the comments which one you like better. These are the two main brands available in my area. There are a couple other brands, B-Wise, which used to be Brimar, and I have one of those. I've seen a couple load trails and some cam super lines. Not much else other than that. There's a few that I see from time to time, but these are the two main guys around here. All right, so let's jump into this and see the differences between these two. All right, starting with probably the most noticeable thing. This has a telescopic lift cylinder on the front. This does not. This has a scissor jack underneath. Both are supposed to be able to lift the same amount of capacity. Both these trailers are rated for 14,000 pounds. You'll also notice that the frame is a little bit different. The PJ trailer uses an 8-inch I-beam, and the Sure-Trac trailer uses a steel tube. I'm not exactly sure the dimension of that. It's probably about 5-6 inches. So to me, the PJ looks like it's got a stronger, heavier duty frame. And once we lift these up, you'll see that I think the PJ wins on that. The telescopic lifts are supposed to be able to lift a lot more weight than the scissor lift based on physics, and this is lifting at the front of the load versus this is lifting underneath in the bottom of the load, in the back. Both trailers have the adjustable hitch on the front there. The PJ has a much heavier duty jack on the front than the Sure-Trac. The jack on the PJ is welded on versus the jack on the Sure-Trac is bolted on. So as far as the jack itself goes, the PJ has this pin. When you pull this pin, there's a spring inside that spring loads this back up. And then to jack it up and down, you've got this jack here, and this handle sits in there when it's not being used. Now, there was a regular bolt in this, just like this. I replaced it with a cotter pin because there's a couple times where if I got the truck on an angle here and I'm trying to get into a tight spot, then because this thing requires so much room to spin, it hits the truck. So I put this pin in so that I can just swap this to the other side and be able to jack up the trailer from the other side. The Sure-Trac also has an adjustable drop leg here. This just has your standard pin. You pull out, pull the pin, manually lift that up, put the pin back in, and then it's just a crank on top. And when you're not using it, you flip it down like that. They both have a toolbox for the hydraulics. The Sure-Trac, when you lift the handle, nothing happens. You have to manually lift that. There's no gas spring or anything. I did notice too that it hits the lift. So when you're raising and lowering this, especially when you're lowering it, if you have this back too far, it could hit that as it's coming down. Now the Sure-Trac charges off of the truck. You don't have to worry about having to charge the battery. It's just always charged if you're running it. Now, if the trailer sits for a long time and then you go to run it, the battery could be dead. So they also have this plug here so you can keep it charged when you're not using it. I'm not sure, it doesn't seem like a test button. I'm not exactly sure how this works, but it doesn't look like it has any sort of indicator that says, maybe when it's plugged in, it says what the battery level is, but this looks like it should say that, but it's not showing anything, and that's the only button on it is the mode button. Oh, I just noticed it has this little latch that you can put in here to hold that so that it doesn't hit while you're operating it. I don't know how I feel about that. It sits right, it's supposed to sit right in there. On the PJ trailer, I installed this solar panel to keep the battery fully charged, even when I'm not towing it. It does charge off the truck, but it does have the plug just like the Sure-Trac. The PJ, when you pull the handle, it lifts by itself because it has a gas spring, which I like, and it makes it so it doesn't go too far back, so it never impedes with the lifting of the trailer. This one has a much smaller hydraulic tank. I'm assuming that has to do with the scissor lift versus the telescopic lift, but I don't really know much about that stuff. The toolbox is a lot bigger on the PJ and has a lot of extra room, so I keep wheel chocks in here, as well as there's usually a board in there, but it's underneath the jack right there. What I use the board for is the holes are spaced so far apart that sometimes it's not close enough to the ground, so I just throw a piece of 2x10 under there, and it makes up the difference, so I don't have to like crank this thing as much. Now this also has a meter on it right here, so you can test it at any time. It says it's good. Now I'm planning on adding a wireless controller to this, and I'll make a video about that in the future. And I did add the solar panel, but I did not make a video yet. I'm planning on doing that at some point. So if you're interested in either of those videos, subscribe to the channel and make sure you have notifications turned on so that when I make those, you'll be notified. Okay, walking around the trailers, the Sure-Trac and the PJ are both built very heavy duty looking, but designed completely differently. So the tarp system on the PJ is mounted to the front on the outside, and the tarp on the Sure-Trac is mounted on the inside, which is actually kind of annoying if you're going to use this and have anything up against this ever. Like, that's just going to constantly be in the way. They have incorporated this bracket system on the ends that you can put a 2x10 in, and then there are stake pockets down the side that you can add additional support. Meanwhile, the PJ just has stake pockets, and as you can see, they're much smaller than they are on the Sure-Trac. The Sure-Trac has these really long stake pockets, so that's kind of nice. The PJ has this little step on the front here. Sure-Trac doesn't, but they do have a step there. However, the PJ has steps built into the fenders, which also give a little extra rigidity to these fenders. This doesn't have that, so you'll see here on the back, he's actually dinged this, and it's bent. Not that you couldn't do that on this one too, but you know, there would be a little extra support here like that. And there's also where the light sticks out on the side, another step there. They don't have that on the Sure-Trac. Coming to the back side and looking at the doors, the Sure-Trac doors look really beefy. They have this really thick piece right here that wraps around. And it's got like a lever latch system. The PJ also has a lever latch system, but it doesn't have that extra beefy framing on the top and bottom. So I'll give the Sure-Trac the win for the back doors. Even the pivot system for the spreader gate, this has like a really nice heavy duty kind of hinge system with a big pin in it. And on the PJ, it just seems kind of dinky. There's this little pin and this small thing right here. So yeah, the Sure-Trac just seems like the gate itself is built a lot more heavy duty than the PJ. Looking at the inside of the trailer, it is ribbed, which I don't love. I've got my other PJ trailer has smooth inside, which I like better because like when I deliver mulch, it gets stuck right here in these little things here, which is kind of annoying. It does have 4 D-rings, one on each corner on the wall. That's one thing about my Brymar trailer that I don't like, or my B-Wise, is that the D-rings are on the floor and everything gets hung up on them when you're dumping. All right, so the Sure-Trac also has a ribbed inside, but it's only got 1 rib versus the PJ has the 2 ribs. I don't know if structurally the 2 ribs makes it stronger or what, I don't really know. The other thing I noticed is that the way that the PJ is designed, this lip is on the inside, so that on the outside it's smooth. That's why they're able to put the stake pockets right there. And it's reversed on the Sure-Trac. This lip is on the outside and the stake pockets are built in underneath it. And then the inside is smooth there. So the Sure-Trac has 5 D-rings. There's the 4 in the corners, just like the PJ, but it also has that 5th one up in the center on the front. Another thing I've noticed is the floor of the Sure-Trac is 3 pieces. You can see the 2 seams of the 3 pieces right there. And then it's welded and seamed on the edge. So the walls and the floor are separate pieces. Now in the PJ, it doesn't seem like a weld. That seems like a bent piece of metal. So this is 1 piece with a seam down the middle and comes up and bends up to make the side. So the wall and the side is 1 piece, which I would assume makes that stronger on that particular corner right there. Also looking at the back of them, you'll notice the brake lights and turn signals are located up high on the Sure-Trac, which I really like that. On the PJ, they're down low. So like when I dump any sort of material and a lot of times I have to back up a little bit into the material. I'm backing into the lights. Like when I'm delivering mulch, a lot of times I like to like shake the trailer to try to get it all out, end up backing into the lights, which I'm not particularly fond of having to do that. These are up high. I feel like they're more visible for other drivers. I like them on the Sure-Trac. They both have ramps built into the bottom here. The Sure-Trac just uses this pin system. Oh, right like that. So you just slide that out and then the ramp pulls out. On the PJ, you've got this little trap door, so you pull these pins out. Trap door, ramp is in there. That system seems a lot more simple than this. I don't really know longevity-wise if there's a difference. What I do know is that stuff gets stuck in here. When I dump, it comes between the crack of the door and the frame of the floor and falls down in here, and there's constantly just debris in here. So yeah, I don't like that. Both trailers have a spare tire mount built onto them. I have a spare tire. Sure-Trac mount is right here, but it doesn't have a spare tire. The spare tire did not come with it. I had to pay extra for that. On the driver's side of the PJ, there's this big step here, which isn't on the other side. I'm not sure why they only have it on one side, but I use this all the time. It's super handy. As far as the spreader gate goes, with the PJ, you just push this lever down and it releases it. And you hook a chain from here to here to determine your width of your spreader. On the Sure-Trac, there's this big pin that you pull and then release this lever, which releases that to open it. And the chain is wrapped right here underneath. I'm assuming you move that to the outside to determine your width, or maybe it just stays right there. I'm not really sure. I've never used the spreader gate on this one. And right here, you can see there's drop legs for like if you're loading heavy equipment and you don't want the back of the trailer to sag, you can drop these legs down, which will keep the trailer from sagging. The PJ does have holes. You can buy those optionally, but I just don't have them on mine. I'm gonna unlatch these for the door. Open it up. And to keep the doors open on the Sure-Trac, they click on right there. So it uses a chain system, which I actually really like because the PJ, I'll show you what's going on with mine, keeps breaking. Same kind of latch system. Something different about the PJ, there's a latch top and bottom, versus on the Sure-Trac, it's just on the bottom. Now, here's the issue I'm having with my PJ. These lock with this mechanism right here. And this pin is supposed to go in that hole, but the weld is cracking right there, so that hole is not aligning with the pin anymore. So in order for me to keep this door open, I have to use a bungee cord wrapped around this to this hook right here to hold the door open, which isn't a huge deal, it's just annoying. This one you can see is all bent and re-welded. This one had the same thing that happened to there, but I didn't know it. Door flipped open while I was dumping and bent and ripped the door off the hinges. So I had to have this whole thing all re-welded. This was all bent. So this was remade by the welder, and this is how it's supposed to operate. It goes into that pin and keeps the door locked in place, and then you pull the pin out when you want to free the door. And they both have this piece of metal on the back that you hook the ramp onto when you're using the ramps. You can see them both on here. All right, let's close the doors and we'll lift them up and show that system. Well, before that, I do that real quick, there's one other thing about the PJ that I like. It has this bar with the tarp, and the bar rolls across the top. There's actually a cable that I have that I clip onto here so I can pull it across, and these little ends make it so that it rolls right on the edge, which is nice. And when it comes back, the bar can click right into here. Now, these are up pretty high, so it only works when there's a load that's pulling the weight up. So normally it just sits against there. You can see where it's all worn out right here. That's where the bar normally sits. But I like that. My other trailers don't have this bar. This is super handy. All right, so I'm gonna get them ready to lift. Now I'm going to try to set a timer and see if we can time it. One thing that I've noticed is that with the telescopic lift, it's got a 3-stage lift. There's 3 cylinders inside of there. So it gets faster as it gets up to the top versus this is all one speed. All right, here we go. So the PJ is lifting faster, but this is about to hit the 2nd cylinder. Right there, it just hit the 2nd cylinder. Now it's moving a little faster. It's catching up, and you'll see as it hits that last cylinder, it's gonna shoot up. There's the last cylinder, top speed. All right, so that was about 40 seconds and about 42 seconds. So as I said, it was slow at the beginning and then sped up towards the end. Now that I've got them up in the air, let's check out the underside. You can see the ramp stored under there. So the PJ, they're kind of split off the sides, and on the Sure-Trac, they're in the center. Now you notice they're framed differently. The PJ, the way that it's framed is lower profile. It actually sits lower to the ground. The deck is about 26 inches off the ground, and on the Sure-Trac is about 29 inches off the ground. The way they're able to do that is they build the frame set inside from the edge here, and then when it goes down, it actually, the bed, the actual metal is what sits on the frame of the trailer, versus the Sure-Trac has a whole frame sitting there, and the frame sits on the frame. Now, as I talked about earlier, this is one wrapped piece of metal across here, so you've got a lot of strength here, versus this is a frame and the side, and then the floor is a separate piece. Now, I don't know if they're framed differently just based on the fact that this is a scissor lift versus a telescopic lift. I don't really know. I do feel like this adds a whole lot of strength to like warping and twisting if you have uneven loads, versus this pole here doesn't really seem like it has a whole lot of strength to keep the trailer, you know, in check when things get weird. This isn't very big around right here, but supposedly the telescopic can lift a lot more weight than the scissor lift, which makes sense. It's lifting from the front of the load versus lifting in the middle of the load. So as you can see, we've got that 8-inch steel I-beam going through there. There's a big cross member across the back. There's another big member across the middle, another big member here, and a couple more right here. On the Sure-Trac, there's no cross member on the back. There's a very small cross member right here, a decent sized one right there. And then we've got this under storage compartment, which I guess you could put a spare tire in maybe? No, it doesn't seem big enough for a spare tire, but let's see here. There's no framing underneath that. So then you've got the front frame here. So we've got 1, 2, I'm gonna call that a half. So there's 2.5 pieces of perpendicular supports on the Sure-Trac. On the PJ, there's 1, 2, there's actually another one right here. We'll call that a half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. So there's a lot more perpendicular supports on the PJ. The wheel wells look basically the same. They've got a center support right there. There actually is a light on the Sure-Trac. There is no light here on the PJ. The frame on the PJ is all one piece of metal. This is somehow bent, and they curved that right there. And on the Sure-Trac, it is a weld right here. It's a very obvious weld. And then there is a separate frame on top of it. So the tongue of the frame it comes back here, is welded, and then comes back and stops right before the tire there. And then the secondary frame sits on top of that. Whereas the PJ is all one continuous frame. So there's no welding and things sitting on top of things. It's literally just one piece, it's a frame, and then the bed sits on top of that. Here we've got 1, 2, 3 pieces making up the frame. Actually 4 if you start counting the horizontals. And just so you can see, they have the exact same lift angle. And when they're lifted up, the PJ is higher off the ground than the Sure-Trac by, I would say, about 2 inches. So even though the deck height of the Sure-Trac is higher, it's closer to the ground while you're dumping, which means it could drag easier if the ground's not even. And the reason that is the pivot point, the way that it's designed, is farther back here, right there. And on the PJ, it's over here. It just has a completely different design. All right, now I'm gonna lower them and we'll time it coming down. So the PJ scissor lift is power down and the telescopic lift on the Sure-Trac is gravity down. So the gravity surprisingly takes a lot longer because it's just the gravity pushing the hydraulic fluid back into the reservoir. Ready, set, go. And again, this has the 3 speeds. So that first cylinder is a lot quicker and then it slows down on the second cylinder. So it was coming down faster, now the PJ is catching up. And you'll see this last cylinder takes a really long time on the Sure-Trac. So the PJ is almost down. Just hit the last cylinder, now it's going super slow. 28 seconds on the PJ. And this is taking forever. We're at 40 seconds. $50 seconds. One minute and 1 second. So it takes more than twice as long for this to lower as it does the PJ. Now that is just based on the different types of systems. If you got a scissor lift on this, it would be quicker. And if you got a telescopic lift on this, it would be slower. All right, so I think that's about it for these 2 trailers. If you got anything out of this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up down below and leave me a comment. Let me know which trailer you liked better and recommend any other trailer brands that you think are even better than these. I know there's a lot of other brands other than these out there. And if you're interested in more videos like this, you can subscribe right here, clicking this button, and check out this video. Or maybe it's a playlist. I'm not exactly sure. I'm gonna put something there that you can watch if you wanna see more stuff. Thanks for watching. See you next time.